Birth is stressful. Aging is stressful. Death is stressful. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair are stressful. Association with the unloved is stressful. Separation from the loved is stressful. Not getting what is wanted is stressful. In short, the 5 clung to heaps are stressful. The noble ones understand stress. They understand how stress originates. They understand how stress comes to an end. And they understand the path of practice whereby stress is brought to an end. We're speaking about the 4 noble truths. Listen up. The 4 noble truths. How are they to be understood? First, these truths are noble, Arya Satya. This is in contrast to private or personal truths, or Pacheka Satya. Many seekers, many seers, many thinkers have come up with their own personal interpretations of the truth. A noble truth is something else entirely. This is a profound, deep, universal truth which applies to all beings. The 4 noble truths are suffering, the origination of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path of practice leading to the cessation of suffering. Now let's take a look at this sutta. This is Majjhima Nikaya 141, an analysis of the truths. The Blessed One said, Monks, near Varanasi, in the deer park at Isipatana, the Tathagata, worthy and rightly self-awakened, set in motion the unexcelled wheel of Dhamma that cannot be stopped by contemplative or Brahman, Deva, Mara or Brahma, or anyone else at all in the cosmos. In other words, the declaration, teaching, description, setting forth, revelation, explanation, and making plain of the 4 noble truths. Of which 4? The declaration, teaching, description, setting forth, revelation, explanation, and making plain of the noble truth of stress. The declaration, teaching, description, setting forth, revelation, and making plain of the noble truth of the origination of stress. The noble truth of the cessation of stress. The noble truth of the path of practice leading to the cessation of stress. Near Varanasi, in the deer park at Isipatana, the Tathagata, worthy and rightly self-awakened, set in motion the unexcelled wheel of Dhamma that cannot be stopped by contemplative or Brahman, Deva, Mara, or Brahma, or anyone at all in the cosmos. In other words, the declaration, teaching, description, setting forth, revelation, explanation, and making plain of these 4 noble truths. Now, I've skipped ahead, and now Sariputta is talking. Now what, friends, is the noble truth of stress? Birth is stressful. Aging is stressful. Death is stressful. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair are stressful. Not getting what is wanted is stressful. In short, the 5 clinging aggregates are stressful. Now the word translated as stress here is dukkha, and this is sometimes translated as suffering, sometimes translated as stress, sometimes as suffering and stress, sometimes as pain. And this can be a confusing point to people because dukkha is a word with broad meaning, and we're going to see how broad the meaning is here. And there's a tendency for people to want to narrow the meanings of these terms and make them highly technical and highly specific, and miss the fact that this was a language, a living language that was spoken by people of the time, 2,600 years ago. And it wasn't the language of dictionaries and textbooks. And language is a slippery thing. No one since the Buddha Gautama has understood the difficulties and the problems of language so well. And a lot of the problems that people have in penetrating the meaning of the Dhamma arises because they don't understand the difficulties of language. They think it should all be straightforward and that words should always mean the same thing, even in different contexts. But that's not the way language actually works. And the reason I'm talking about this is because this issue of translating dukkha as pain, as just pain, only pain, has held a number of people back. So that's something to be aware of. You can see here in this definition, the noble truth of stress. Birth is dukkha, aging is dukkha, death is dukkha, sorrow, lamentation, they're dukkha, pain is also dukkha. Distress and despair are dukkha. Not getting what is wanted is dukkha. In short, the 5 clinging aggregates are dukkha. So this passage makes it quite clear that dukkha is more than just pain. It's all kinds of suffering and stress. A very wide net is cast by dukkha. And Sariputta breaks it down further. And what is birth? Whatever birth, taking birth, descent, coming to be, coming forth, appearance of aggregates, and acquisition of sense spheres of various beings in this or that group of beings, that is called birth. And what is aging? Whatever aging, decrepitude, brokenness, graying, wrinkling, decline of life force, weakening of the faculties of the various beings in this or that group of beings, that is called aging. And what is death? Whatever deceasing, passing away, breaking up, disappearance, dying, death, completion of time, breakup of the aggregates, casting off of the body, interruption in the life faculty of the various beings in this or that group of beings, that is called death. And what is sorrow? Whatever sorrow, sorrowing, sadness, inward sorrow, inward sadness of anyone suffering from misfortune, touched by a painful thing, that is called sorrow. And what is lamentation? Whatever crying, grieving, lamenting, weeping, wailing, lamentation of anyone suffering from misfortune, touched by a painful thing, that is called lamentation. And what is pain? Whatever is experienced as bodily pain, bodily discomfort, pain or discomfort born of bodily contact, that is called pain. And what is distress? Whatever is experienced as mental pain, mental discomfort, pain or discomfort born of mental contact, that is called distress. And what is despair? Whatever despair, despondency, desperation of anyone suffering from misfortune, touched by a painful thing, that is called despair. And what is the stress of not getting what is wanted? In beings subject to birth, the wish arises, oh, may we not be subject to birth, and may birth not come to us. But this is not to be achieved by wishing. This is the stress of not getting what is wanted. In beings subject to aging, illness, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair, the wish arises, oh, may we not be subject to aging, illness, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair, and may aging, illness, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair not come to us. But this is not to be achieved by wishing. This is the stress of not getting what is wanted. And what are the 5 clinging aggregates that, in short, are stressful? The form clinging aggregate, the feeling clinging aggregate, the perception clinging aggregate, the fabrication clinging aggregate, the consciousness clinging aggregate. These are called the 5 clinging aggregates that, in short, are stressful. This, friends, is called the noble truth of stress. So we can see from this that dukkha, stress, suffering, it encompasses all kinds of suffering, from mental suffering to physical suffering, and everything in between. This is very important to understand, and also this section on the 5 clinging aggregates. This just briefly states that they are stressful. It doesn't explain how they're stressful. That's covered in several other suttas, but briefly, each of these things is inconstant, impermanent, and therefore it is stressful. And what, friends, is the noble truth of the origination of stress, the craving that makes for further becoming, accompanied by passion and delight, relishing now here and now there, that is, craving for sensuality, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming. Craving for sensuality is anything to do with the senses, stimulation through the senses. This could be sights, sounds, aromas, flavors, tactile sensations, or ideas. That can translate into many different activities in the world that are rooted in craving for sensuality. And becoming is coming into any state of being. This is called the noble truth of the origination of stress. And what, friends, is the noble truth of the cessation of stress? The remainderless fading and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of that very craving. This is called the noble truth of the cessation of stress. And what, friends, is the noble truth of the path of practice leading to the cessation of stress? Just this very noble eightfold path: right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. And so these are the 4 noble truths: stress, the origination of stress, the cessation of stress, and the path of practice leading to the cessation of stress. Now, this presentation may sound awkward to the modern English-speaking listener. Why 4 noble truths? Why are they in this order, etc.? You have to think of it in terms of an analysis. Now, this is Samyutta Nikaya 56.11, setting the wheel of the Dhamma in motion. Now I'm just going to go over briefly the duties with respect to each truth. In regard to this noble truth of stress, it is to be comprehended. In regard to this noble truth of the origination of stress, the origination of stress is to be abandoned. In regard to this noble truth of the cessation of stress, the cessation of stress is to be realized. In regard to this noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress, it is to be developed. So this is to be viewed as layers of inquiry. The first step is stress, understanding, dukkha, suffering, pain. So the first step is to understand, to comprehend that there is stress. What is stressful? Believe it or not, there are some people and some philosophies that engage in mental gymnastics in order to deny that there even is stress or suffering. And certainly there are people who are born with the proverbial silver spoon in their mouth and everything is going quite well for them, and they don't acknowledge that other people are experiencing suffering. It takes some event occurring in their life for them to be confronted with the reality of suffering. Why are you here listening to me talk? It's because you have stress. You suffer. And you want answers. You want to understand what to do about that. Well, the next step is to discover how stress originates, and this is the second noble truth, the origination of stress. Why is there suffering in the world? This is a question that many philosophers and religious figures have asked themselves, but only the Blessed One found the correct answer. And the duty with regard to the second noble truth is to abandon the origination of stress. And this brings us to the third noble truth. How can stress and suffering finally be brought to an end? Is there an end to suffering and stress? The third noble truth is the cessation of stress. And one's duty with respect to the third noble truth is the realization of the cessation of stress. This realization of the cessation of stress is the highest possible attainment. And then the fourth noble truth is the path of practice leading to the cessation of stress. And one's duty with regard to this noble truth is that the path should be developed. So in asking the question, how do we attain the cessation of stress, one develops the Noble Eightfold Path. Right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. So hopefully you can see now why there are four noble truths and why they're in this particular order and arrangement. And truly understanding these four noble truths has consequences. Here, Sariputta continues, and what is right view? Knowledge in terms of stress, knowledge in terms of the origination of stress, knowledge in terms of the cessation of stress, knowledge in terms of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. This is called right view. And as an example of the power of understanding the Four Noble Truths, we have this passage from the Vinaya where Sariputta, still as a wandering ascetic, approaches Venerable Assaji. He asks him to explain the Dhamma in brief, and this is his response. Whatever phenomena arise from a cause, their cause, and their cessation, such is the teaching of the Tathagata, the great contemplative. Then, when he had heard this Dhamma explanation, the dustless, stainless eye of Dhamma arose for Sariputta, the wanderer. Whatever is subject to origination is all subject to cessation. Upon the arising of this insight, Sariputta knew that he had finally found what he had long been searching for. And it is my hope that you will find it as well. Now let's try a few different translations of the Four Noble Truths and see if any of them resonate with you, if you really begin to understand what's being referred to here. Sadness, the origination of sadness, the cessation of sadness, the path of practice leading to the cessation of sadness. Grief, the origination of grief, the cessation of grief, the path of practice leading to the cessation of grief. Misery, the origination of misery, the cessation of misery, the path of practice leading to the cessation of misery. Unsatisfactoriness, the origination of unsatisfactoriness, the cessation of unsatisfactoriness, the path of practice leading to the cessation of unsatisfactoriness. Unhappiness, the origination of unhappiness, the cessation of unhappiness, the path of practice leading to the cessation of unhappiness. Hurt, the origination of hurt, the cessation of hurt, the path of practice leading to the cessation of hurt. Trauma, the origination of trauma, the cessation of trauma, the path of practice leading to the cessation of trauma. Distress, the origination of distress, the cessation of distress, the path of practice leading to the cessation of distress. Difficulty, the origination of difficulty, the cessation of difficulty, the path of practice leading to the cessation of difficulty. If any one of these translations resonated with you, understand that they are all referring to aspects of dukkha. And if you find that you're benefiting from these videos, please consider supporting our work on Ko-fi. The link is in the description below.